Yes, we are looking live. The lighting is spectacular. The internet's working today. That is kind of a good thing. Good thing. I've been doing this long enough with you, Bobby, that if they can't get us on the air or things aren't working, I'm really easy just going home. But I'm happy to be on. I got a lot to talk about today. Good to see Snow Raiders in there first. Appreciate that. Man, Tom Brady hosting Matthew Stafford at his Montana mansion. Wow.
You got a fucking Montana mansion?
That's a pretty big one from Ari Mirov.
Teach him how to ride a bike to his first day of school. Now we guide our clients through their real estate journey. We ask the right questions to fit your needs. Whether you're buying or selling residential, commercial, land,
I gotta warn you. 1, 2, 3, 4,
we offer cash advances with no interest.
9, 12. I gotta warn you, I'm Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
This guy is no Antonio Pierce. These are not shortcuts.
Okay.
So this guy does like to talk.
We'll help you ride smoothly through your real estate journey.
That,
702-310-6662.
view,
That's
good to go.
702-310-MOVE. Or visit us at realestateguy.com.
Yep.
Break shit, fuck shit up.
eXp Realty, license number 38886. Call for details.
Talk to Aaron Taylor.
All right. Hope everyone's good today. Yeah, if Tom Brady's meeting with Matthew Stafford, that steps it up. We got Vinnie Bonsignore live from the Combine. We have Levi Edwards live from the Combine. Levi's good because he's focused on the players who are there, which is nice. We could have Lance Zernline join us. He's another good one. We got a good day today.
JT, join me at the Sam Boyd Soccer Fields this Thursday from noon to 2 to enjoy the Vegas Nines Rugby League Tournament. Check out male and female teams from across the U.S.
Oh, they speeded up my voice on that spot. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, it's only 14 seconds.
Don't miss the Rich Eisen Show following the morning tailgate. Weekday mornings at 10 here on Raider Nation Radio 920 AM.
We ready to go? Let's do this. Let's do some radio.
Show, where the Raider Nation has come to sound off and react for over 20 years.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio. Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years. And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT, as we are live on Raider Nation Radio, which you can hear and watch all over the globe, thanks to technology that I think is better here today in our studio. I am up and I am streaming live on YouTube, JT the Brick YT. It's free. You get a chance to see what we're doing in here. We're live on the Raiders mobile app. We are also live on 9:20 a.m. in Vegas and lvsportsnetwork.com. That's pretty cool. So there's no excuses. Everybody can hear us on any different platform. They used to be called stations. Now they're called platforms. And I feel like today we're live in Indianapolis because we got a really big flare of Indy today. Vinnie Bonsignore, our insider who joins us every Wednesday, he's at the bottom of the hour. He's got a lot of news. Vinny's out in front on the quarterback situation that's happening here. So Vinny will have some fresh content at the bottom of the hour. Also Levi Edwards about an hour from now from the digital team. Love having him on because he's grinding out there. He's going to meet the players. He's going out there to meet the players who are at the podium and get a feel for who the Raiders are sitting down with. Lance Zernline could be joining us a little bit later on in the show. And then Joe DeLeon, who's another insider over in Indy. So today, we really stepped up with an Indy presence there. I'm happy I'm not there. I would like to be in other places, but I'm happy to be in Vegas where it's going to be 75 degrees again. And we got it good here. I mean, people like Indy, in and out. They go to St. Elmo's. They go to the same restaurant. They like it. Great for everybody who wants to be in Indy, and they're getting a lot of work done. And the Raiders have a big presence here. Ooh, and Bobby, school grades came out. The grades came out for owners and teams, and the Raiders got straight A's. Yeah. Almost. I think they got straight A's and a B+. Man, when my report card used to come home when I was in high school, probably 10th or 11th grade, Me and my buddies would cut school to go take the report cards out of our mailboxes if we were getting bad grades. I can't believe we were able to pull that off. I remember my buddies and I would go, you had no idea when the mail was going to come. You had an idea.
Oh, you had an idea.
You knew it was coming that week, your report cards. What was I thinking I was going to take my report card and hide it from my mom and dad? I got good grades. I didn't get bad grades. I got good grades, but I always got in trouble. I always had those letters that came home. And that's another thing that this generation will never know. My kids will never understand. Their kids someday will never understand what it was like to get a letter home from school. Raise your hand and beep your horn, because my dad worked in Manhattan in New York City, and I was a good hour and a half away. And when I would get a letter home from school for misbehaving, my mom would call my dad. And that, I don't know if I would have done that, but my mom didn't mess around. Right. And imagine my dad sitting high atop the Federal Building in Manhattan, stewing before he had to take a train ride back just to get in front of me. That was a big part of my youth, man. I got to apologize for my parents for that. Getting a letter home from school was a big deal. I guess now, what do? They send an email. You can have a Zoom with the principal. You get a phone call. Yeah. Back then, they didn't call the house. They just sent letters home from school. And when I got a letter home from school, man, that was not a memory. I don't know how my sisters put up with that. They could hear what I was going through. And but again, I had great parents, and they were great, man. I put them through a lot, but we're in a great place now. So here's what we got today. Again, we're going to talk about the breaking news. Jordan Schultz put out a tweet. Ari Mirov, who's another insider, retweeted it. So Jordan Schultz, 35 minutes ago, puts this out. Raiders minority owner Tom Brady recently hosted Matthew Stafford at his home in Montana, where they spent time together and went skiing. Brady has been actively trying to convince Stafford to join the Raiders, and our discussions are ongoing. Wow. Wait a second. Matthew Stafford's in Montana with Brady as a guest skiing? Okay, that changes everything. It's not like Brady's trying to get in front of Ben Johnson. Hey, can we get Ben on a Zoom because he's not coming to Vegas, whatever. Brady's got a lot of power, and everybody is not going to turn down a Brady invitation. Then Jordan Schultz says, meanwhile, in Indianapolis at the Combine, teams are interested in trading for Matthew Stafford, have met with his agent, Jimmy Sexton, and that includes the New York Giants. Well, I can tell you this. The news is Tom Brady skiing with Matthew Stafford more than Jimmy Sexton meeting with the Giants. So here you go. This is really big news. Jordan Schultz is a good insider, and he knows what he's doing, and everybody else is running with this story. And, man, this is juicy, man. I mean, I don't know anything about this. Did you? No. I don't know that anybody's visited. I didn't even know Tom Brady had a spot in Montana. No. I know Howie Long's got a big estate up there, and a lot of other people live up there. And I love Yellowstone. I think you can get deals done at Yellowstone, like they get deals done. But, man, oh, man, Brady going skiing, and I think someone said that, didn't they, yesterday? Pete Carroll or Spy Tech. Pete Carroll said it in one of his, maybe on NFL radio, that, he texts back with Tom even when he's skiing. Ooh, that was a clue. Tom deserves time off. So do I, by the way. But I don't have a billion like Tom Brady. So if Tom's up in Montana skiing with Matthew Stafford, wow, connect the dots here, and we'll see what plays out. And look, I don't know what's going to happen with this deal. But it seems like, from everything that I know, from knowing Mark Davis as long as I had, he was with the Aces yesterday as the Aces introduced their new players and all this, that Mark has new ownership underneath him. They're minority owners. He's the majority owner. And he's letting those guys cook. He's letting those guys do deals, infuse money into the team. Again, I mentioned the grades for the Raiders when it comes to Adam Schefter. Everybody put it out today. The Raiders are getting unbelievable grades around the league for everything that they've done, from food to travel. And Raider fans might be saying in general, well, who cares? I just want to win games. And I get that. I agree with you. You want to win games. You don't care how good the food is at the facility, but the players do. Woody Johnson got the lowest grade, an F, by his own players. How would you like that? How would you like to know that your own players, not behind your back, this is the NFL Players Association, are giving out grades? So, NFL ownership grades via the NFL Players Association report card. The Dolphins, the Falcons, and the Vikings got an A+. The Broncos, the Chargers, the Texans, the Raiders, Commanders, Ravens, Saints got an A. And then we go Packers, Niners. But what gets good, it's like I said with my grades in high school, or your grades. Like, no one cares if you get A's. Who cares? Right? People care if you get D's. Look at the bottom of this. The Jets get an F. They're the only team that got an F. D- to the Panthers, the Cardinals. Wow. The Patriots and the Steelers got a D. Right? The Patriots have won 6 Super Bowls. The Steelers have won 6. They get D's. The Buccaneers got a D+. Kansas City got a C-. And then you can break down all the grades. Here are some of the grades here. The Cowboys were among the lowest ranked teams. Here's what they were grading. Food and dining area, treatment of families, nutrition, locker room, training staff, weight room. Raiders got an A+ in their weight room. Good. Strength coach, team travel, head coach, and ownership. So Mark Davis and the team got unbelievable A's across the board pretty much because they got a brand new stadium. They got a brand new facility. Mark loves the alumni and the players. Even Mark's critics over the years have never suggested that Mark skimps on anything. So everything's great for the Raiders. Now they got to go win games. And they're spending a lot of money. And they're going to go out there and try to get Matthew Stafford. So now we know for sure that the Raiders are hunting down Matthew Stafford. We don't know if they're going to get him. So Adam Schefter today was on the McAfee show, and I printed this out or screenshot it. Here's the deal with Matthew Stafford. Remember I did Matthew Stafford the other day, Bobby, and put my fist through the wall because no one called and no Raider fan had an opinion. Yep. I'm like, what are we doing wrong, man? We got a topic 2 days before it's national. Today it's national. We were on it on Monday. Yeah. And I had a Raider fan anywhere in the world who wanted to comment on Matthew Stafford. Right. Now Matthew Stafford skiing down the double diamonds on the back of the Montana ski lift with Tom Brady. Does that wake Raider Nation up today? No. We'll see. Here's Stafford's contract. This upcoming year, 2025, he gets $27 million, $4 million guaranteed. Ooh, that's a low number. Next year, he gets $31 million. $31 million, chump change. For quarterbacks, that's making 60. Yeah. You guys are making 50. Brock Purdy's going to get 50. Do y'all understand what's going on now? That Stafford's contract, even though he's still under contract, has expired. You can look at the same thing with Max. Max has got no guaranteed money, but Max got signing bonuses. Remember, these guys, if you look at the players, they get their contract, and the first thing they do is they get a signing bonus. And it might be 60 million, 90 million, 50 million. And then the contract is written, but the signing bonus, the cash, is cashed. They get that. And then years later, we look at the contract and say, oh my God, they're only owed $4 million guaranteed. No. They got their guaranteed money the day they signed the thing. But they want you to forget that. Oh, we're out of guaranteed money. Or Stafford's only getting $4 million in guaranteed. Well, why didn't we put the signing bonus that he got when he cashed all that money? Bingo. So Stafford's looking at the deal, and this is just my opinion. I don't know if it's accurate, but I think it is. Doing this enough that the dead cap money is $45.3 million. Right, so they're not going to just say goodbye to Matthew Stafford. They want to work out a deal. They want to get something and get him off the books. A $4 million fully guaranteed roster bonus, March 14th. Stafford is seeking a negotiated contract for the upcoming season. So what does Stafford want here? Stafford wants a new deal with the Raiders. What is the number? I don't know. I don't get involved with people's money. But I would assume it's going to be at a minimum $50 million a year. $50 million a year, maybe a 2-year deal, $100 million. Maybe it's a Kirk Cousins deal. I'll tell you this much, Bobby. If it was Kirk Cousins, it'd be fully guaranteed. Oh, yeah, right. Kirk Cousins is the king of the fully guaranteed deal. Oh, yeah. If it was Kirk Cousins, he'd be getting that money fully guaranteed. And the cap just went up. The cap just went up. So there's more money to be out there. So normally I'm not shocked by anything. But when I hear Tom Brady skiing in Montana with Matthew Stafford, reports from Jordan Schultz, it's not like the knucklehead idiot at the combine who did the video that Gronkowski's coming back, and Schefter and Rappaport are like, oh, stop. That's garbage. This seems to be true. I mean, the Raiders aren't going to put out a release saying Tom Brady was skiing with Stafford. What's happening is we're getting that information from all of these competing NFL insiders. So then it becomes the Giants at number 3. They have the 3rd pick overall. And the Giants are also looking at Matthew Stafford. And a lot of the insiders who are talking on TV and radio, and we'll talk about this with Vinnie at the bottom of the hour, they seem to think the Giants are the front runners to get Stafford. I disagree. I think the Raiders are. I would hope the Raiders are. Let's take that so it doesn't get clipped wrong. 3, 2, 1. I would hope the Raiders are the front runners to get Stafford because we live in a state with no state taxes. New York, New Jersey, it's a tax haven for being taxed. You got to live in New Jersey or close to it and pay Manhattan taxes, and it's a nightmare. And you would think that Stafford would be close to LA with his kids and wife, and Vegas makes a lot of sense. And I've been the Pied Piper of Vegas for a long time, as long as anybody in the history of this radio market here. I'm the guy who's sitting in Vegas since 96. And Raider fans come up to me and goes, well, thought you lived in Oakland. No. I commuted 17 years to Oakland. I was here the whole time. I'm a big fan of getting everybody to move to Vegas because it's just cheaper. It's better. Your money goes farther. Unless you gamble, unless you're a lunatic and you go out on the strip every night, then your money disappears. But you can have a nice life here. So Tom Brady knows that. Sounds like he's pitching. Look, Tom Brady had something to do. Pete Carroll keeps talking about Tom Brady. Let's go to 47 here, Bobby, on the bottom of this and get to what Pete Carroll said about Tom Brady. So Pete's behind Tom Brady as a recruiter, as a minority owner who can get these deals done.
No, I was hearing about it. Yeah, it came through kind of loud and clear because of the magnitude of the individuals. Gosh, amazing. I hope you guys will get a chance to visit with them and understand what we're talking about. But Egon and Michael and Tom, those guys are big time, and to have Tom Brady on as part of this thing too, And Mark, I think Mark did a marvelous job in figuring that out, and because they're a force, I made the point. It's like we come marching. It's like Ocean's 11, that thought, there's something to it, and I love representing it. So.
All right. So Pete Carroll said he loves representing them. He called this new ownership group Ocean's 11 and how powerful they are. That's very accurate. These are powerful, powerful people. And one of the things that I'm proud of with my tiny legacy with all of this is I've been telling people for decades that Mark is not a guy who's money hungry. Mark's generous. Mark does things you don't know about. Mark does a lot of great things. And basically you're seeing here through Pete Carroll and Tom Brady and the other minority owners that Mark is saying, all right, now this is your era. I'm the owner. I'm in charge. I'm the face of the franchise, but you guys come behind the scenes and let's win. Because it's been a struggle. We haven't won. We, the Raider Nation, haven't won. And it's not because of a lack of trying. It's not because of a lack of trying. For the people who don't work here anymore, who are at the front and center of getting the team here, for the people who are here, everybody's working their ass off to make this work. Everybody. No one's mailing it in. The players, the staff, everybody, past and present, are trying to make this thing work. Why hasn't it worked? Some of it's bad luck. Some of it's injuries. Some of it's bad decisions. A lot of it, in my opinion, has been bad drafting by good people that had good ideas and they just didn't draft well. But all that's in the past. And I'm just hoping, and I don't know if it's going to happen soon enough. I don't, because I know it's the off season. The off season is important with headlines, but not until you play the games. The games matter most. I am hoping that Raider Nation and the fans appreciate the changes, and hope springs eternal, and Raider fans who have been super negative, or negative to a degree, are like, I don't want to live that life anymore and be negative. I want to win, and I think these guys might be the right group. And if you don't think they're the right group, okay, You have the right to be in that camp. You have the right to step to the side and say, I don't think it's going to work. But I would think that a lot of Raider fans that I hung out with at the Commitment to Excellence Award, I meet at the tailgates, I meet at the Torch, everybody wants this to really be great. And I think the message I wanted to send here in the monologue is with the ownership group, the way it's set, and a lot of that with Tom Brady, the addition of Pete Carroll, because we liked Antonio Pierce, the addition of Pete Carroll makes it look like it could really work big, like big. How long have we been talking about the Raiders wanting to get to a point where they're a perennial playoff team? They don't make the playoffs every 4 to 6 years. They make the playoffs every year, and they do it for 10 years. We're seeing it in the division with Kansas City. We're seeing it now with Philadelphia. Even a team like the Houston Texans, they seem to be in the playoffs every year recently, right? You see this, and you can see the way this thing is structured now and how excited Pete Carroll is. And we got a lot of Pete sound today, that it's structured to be sustainable and to win for a long period of time. And for those who are saying, well, I'll believe it when I see it, well, good. Okay. I'm not here to argue with you. But I am here to be a portal to get fans who are excited year round. I am here to be some type of go-between with the organization and the listeners and the fans, to be some type of go-between where you can vent. And normally you vent when the games start. You fly when the games start. But now you got a lot of positivity happening around this. But we need to hear from the fans because we're an NFL radio station. We're not one of these other stations in Vegas that has no affiliation to nothing. Not that they're bad stations. They come in loud and clear and they have some good programming. But we are the station of the Raiders. And we stream globally. And we got a lot of fans. And the fans should have a voice on this Matthew Stafford topic, what the Raiders should do at number 6, because I think this is a really compelling topic. I don't believe you get Matthew Stafford and Shador. I don't. But if this Matthew Stafford thing gets buttoned up pretty quickly here, if we can button up this Matthew Stafford thing and it's not your money, and the new owners are pumping in money to do this thing and it has no effect on you, and we get Matthew Stafford, then you don't have to get Shador. You don't have to get Cam. You're good. Then you can get Jackson Dart. Then you can go get the Syracuse quarterback. You can go get, Dylan Gabriel. You can have someone who can sit like Jordan Love, and you got Matthew Stafford for 2 years. If that gets buttoned up here pretty quickly. If it doesn't get buttoned up and Stafford goes, no, I really want to be a Ram again, which makes sense to me. The Rams are really good. They were right there with Philadelphia. Then Stafford's gone. And as Adam Schefter said today, then the Raiders maybe look at Sam Darnold. And there's a really juicy, good argument on, would you rather have Sam Darnold over Matthew Stafford? 10-year difference in age. 10 years. True. And as good as Stafford played last year, he did not play as good as Sam Darnold. Let's get that out of the way. Stafford was good, and Stafford won. He played well in the playoffs, but Darnold had an MVP discussion year. Stafford did not. So I'm good with either one of them. If you tell me it's Sam Darnold, if you tell me it's Russell Wilson, yes, I'm still Russell Wilson. I believe in Russ. If you tell me it's going to be Matthew Stafford, I'm good with all of that. But there's something called the bridge quarterback. A bridge quarterback to me would be, if you get a rookie, you need someone to bridge him. I would be good with Aiden O'Connell in that scenario. I was just with Aiden on Friday. If you end up drafting Shador or Cam or Jackson Dart, and you say, Aiden, you're the starter, we're going to get these guys up and running, and then Aiden blows everyone away, he'll keep his job for a little bit longer. But if Aiden doesn't play well, then they're going to bring in the quarterback they drafted. That's one side of the equation. But if you bring in Matthew Stafford on a 2-year deal with big guaranteed money, he's the quarterback. Okay? He ain't competing with anybody over in Henderson. It's his gig. So that's where we're at today. I'd like to get your opinion on this. 702-365-9200. 702-365-9200. Vinny's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. He'll have some good information. We'll go over this. And then Levi Edwards on a couple of the needs for the team. A lot of mock drafts have Ashton Genty to the Raiders at 6. Wow. That's a running back. Remember, this is going to be different with Pete and Spy Tech and everything. But last year, we ran the ball into a wall. We were dead last in running the ball. We couldn't run a play. We couldn't hand the ball off, and we, for whatever reason, handed it off out of the shotgun 6 yards deep, and just ran into a wall and couldn't do anything. So with all that being said, if we're going to run the ball and you want to get Ashton Genty with the 6th pick overall, you better be telling me who you're going to sign with free agent money on the offensive line. Because if Ashton Genty's running behind this offensive line from last year, it's a no-go. It's a no-go. We need a new offensive line. Not a whole bunch of guys, but hopefully Colton Miller's 100%. We know JPJ is going to be the center going forward. Everybody else is auditioning. No one has a lock to be a starting offensive lineman on this team. And if you're going to get a running back, you better rebuild that offensive line. That might be the priority. All right, Bobby, let's get going here and start off the show. Mick in San Jose. Go ahead, Mick. What's happening?
Hey, Brick, I want to be positive here. First of all, live in the Bay Area. I thirst for Raider passion and a global station, and that is you, man. You are a rock star. Vegas, no taxes at all. That should be a haven for free agents to come. The facility is phenomenal. I believe Mark Davis is a benevolent, generous owner, and I am positive on Pete Carroll, who's the winner, and Tom Brady. But look, man, I think Stafford is playing us with the Rams. And you look at Hurts, you look at Mahomes, you look at Herbert, you look at Allen, you need a quarterback that is mobile. Stafford's arm is elite. He is a keen intellect. But there's no way the Rams in that division, in that conference, are giving up on Stafford. So here's my question to you. We got to give him 3 or 4 years. My question to you is, brother, is he going to hold up in year 2, 3, and 4 when this league is a mobile quarterback? Here's the thing. We cannot go back with Gardner Minshew and AOC. We cannot put him as the starting quarterback. I'm sorry, man. So what do? We got to go 3, 4 years for Stafford. But will his legs make us competitive enough to carry that trophy? I was 8 years old, Brick. 8 years old when we won with Marcus in Tampa. We beat an amazing Mexican team. That Raider team was one of the best ever. If you would have told me 8 years old, we have not been a Super Bowl champion, I would have said that never happened. Talk to me, Brick. Stafford get us there without legs.
Yes, definitely he can. If the Raiders end up doing a deal with Stafford, they become a Super Bowl contender. Not year 1. No way. No way, not year 1. Jaden Daniels, Stafford's better than Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels younger and hotter right now. Jaden Daniels took a Commanders team that had 4 wins and won 2 playoff games and was 60 minutes away from the Super Bowl. You get Matthew Stafford with the Raiders and Max, and you figure out everybody who's staying. You could look to be a Super Bowl contender in year 2 or 3 with Stafford. You don't do the deal unless you're trying to win a Super Bowl with Pete Carroll and Matthew Stafford. Now, the caller makes a very interesting point that I wanted to make clear. The caller makes an interesting point. I think that Stafford is probably older than his 37 years. Like I think Luka. I watched Luka last night. Luka's 25. No, he's 30. He's 30. He's got more wear and tear on his body. I covered Stafford's entire career. I was on in Detroit my whole career on the radio. Stafford was a piñata. He got beat up in Detroit to the point where he probably would have been retired now if he didn't go to the Rams for all the hits he took. So the question is, how much does Stafford have left? I don't know. That's really a Tom Brady decision. Tom Brady knows nutrition, diet, body weight, all that, medicals. If Brady and everybody in Chip Kelly thinks that Stafford's got 3 really good years left, that's good enough for him to sell out Allegiant Stadium, which is already sold out. It's already sold out. But if Stafford's a quarterback on day 1, every Raider fan in the clubs, on the field, at the torch, you're going to be pretty excited that the Raiders can compete with anybody. You already got the coach who can compete with Andy Reid and Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh. If you have Stafford, you have the quarterback that can compete with Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Bo Nix. You got that. So you just check 2 boxes if you get Stafford. Raul in Queens, New York, where my mom and dad were born and raised. Go ahead.
Hey, once from Queens, always from Queens, brother. Hey, listen, I appreciate you taking my call. I just want to say, hey, Stafford, yeah, he definitely has the arm. I just worry about that offensive line. And if you can't protect Stafford, it doesn't matter how good his arm is. And that's my hesitation. Part of me wants to say, hey, you know what? If Kirk Cousins gets cut, sign him for the bare minimum, league minimum, draft a quarterback, let him learn from Kirk, and then we're off to the races. Hopefully we draft well and we have a future franchise quarterback. We are not in win now mode like this year or next. And that's my concern with Stafford. You're going to give up a lot to get him.
Yeah, no, you're not going to give up a lot to get him. You're just going to pay him a lot. No, you're not going to give up a lot to get him. You're not going to give up a first-round pick. We get the 6th pick overall. If you give up a second or third-round pick, you're not giving up a lot to get Stafford. You have to pay him, though. So, again, if you think that paying him $50 million a year isn't a good number, that's fair. That's why I'm here, to do that. But, look, you're not going to give up a lot. You're not giving up 3 first-round picks. You're not going to the top. With that. So I think it'll make sense. The money's not an object with the Raiders. The Raiders have money. They just got to spread it out wisely with the cap. If they want to re-sign their players, help out on the offensive line, they got a lot of players that they got to bring in. Some of the players that we like who were here last year are not good enough to play under this new regime. They're not. They're good enough to try out for this new regime and get a certain contract, but there are a lot of players who are not going to be back here because the Raiders are seeking better players. Reggie in North Las Vegas. Reggie, how are you, man? Good to see you. I wanted you to be at the Commitment to Excellence Awards. We had a good time there, buddy.
Oh, this is Ray.
Oh, Ray. It said Reggie here. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah. What's up, JT? I think it's worth it.
Rams team that, look, when they're looking at Matthew Stafford right now, they are looking at a player that might be here for 1 or 2 more years. So there has to be life after Matthew Stafford, and it's not 10 years down the road. It might be as early as next year or the year after. So they're probably looking at life after Matthew is going to happen here pretty soon. Would we be better off taking a cut maybe for this year or next year and gathering a bunch of draft assets to help get us back to where we are right now quicker than later? There's some value in that as well. And also, lastly, I'll say this about that. Don't rule out, if Matthew Stafford leaves for New York or Cleveland or wherever, Aaron Rodgers and maybe even a Devontae Adams sighting in Los Angeles at a far less cost than the $50 million to Matthew Stafford, and maybe leaves them in just as good position over the next couple of years, along with the draft picks that you get for Matthew Stafford, with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and Nakua and everything else that the Rams have going on in LA right now.
Vinnie Bonsignore live from the Combine. So, Vinnie, I have a problem, and it's not a Stafford issue. It's a big problem. The NBA has guaranteed contracts. I've been freaking out for 30 years almost when NFL players say there's no more guaranteed money, but they don't remind everybody their huge signing bonus. They never say, hey, look at me. I signed for $45 million cash today, and then my contract is for the next 4 years at this. Of course, at the end of a contract, no one brings up the signing bonus money that cashed and they got when they signed. It was a big deal when Khalil Mack didn't stay with the Raiders because the Raiders didn't have $60 million cash on a $90 million deal. So it's not a Matthew Stafford or a Max Crosby issue. It's with everybody around the league when everybody seems to forget. At some point, they put pen to paper and got all this guaranteed money in the beginning. And, of course, on the back end of their career in the contract, some of the guarantees are going to go away.
Yeah, but you have to look at that both ways. The teams do that as well because they don't want a liability after the guarantees are run out. Matthew Stafford made, let's just say, $110 million over the last 3 years, let's say, with the Rams. That has now been exhausted, but he's still playing at a high level. And the Rams did that back then because who knows what Matthew Stafford's going to look like at 37 years old. Well, it turns out that he's still pretty darn good, and there is value in that. And Matthew Stafford understands that there's value in that. Now he's like, time to re-up. So you can't have the flexibility for the team. Like, let's say Matthew Stafford hadn't been, or wasn't good at this stage, right? The Rams would just say, see you later, and pay him the $4 million that he's still guaranteed and walk away from the remaining, $60 million or so, as easily as they could do, as can be. But that's not where the situation is. The situation is he's still a damn good quarterback, and now wants to be paid like a damn good quarterback and has that right to do that. And I'm in agreement with that. I think the flexibility part of it works both ways. Yeah, he was paid his guaranteed money, but he's still worth more guaranteed money. If he wasn't, we wouldn't be having this discussion. We'd probably be planning for a retirement party for Matthew Stafford or his imminent release, because the Rams are moving on and definitely not going to pay him, $20 million next year or whatever it is that's on the books, non-guaranteed as it is, because they're going to look for a different quarterback. So I agree with you. Yes, it's a story that needs to be told. There were guarantees that were paid out in Matthew Stafford in every contract, at this point of a good veteran player. But there are two sides to that. They would have walked away from him, yesterday if he wasn't playing at the level that he is right now. But since he has every right to want more guaranteed money on that deal.
Finally, Vinny, in all your years of being in the combine with top quarterbacks, and this one's unique, Cam and Shador not going to throw. Obviously, we're going down that rabbit hole coming up. I don't know the next time we'll see a top quarterback ever throw, but what's it been like on the floor of Radio Row and you're sitting down and you're having side meetings and putting together content on, can Shador get to the Raiders at 6? And could he get past the Raiders at 6? Because clearly if the Raiders do Stafford, they don't need Stafford and Shador. How complex has this top 2 quarterback discussion been as you're on the ground in Indy?
Yeah, that and the Matthew Stafford situation, I think, have dominated the first couple of days here of the scouting combine, and in some ways, they're very much connected, because, like you said, if the Giants get Matthew Stafford, there's no need to draft Shador at number 3. If the Raiders get him at Matthew Stafford, then there's no reason to draft him at number 6, right? Mm-hmm. So there, in some ways, it's kind of connected. But here's the thing with a guy like Cam Ward and a guy like Shador Sanders, I think there's supreme confidence one way or another that Shador is not going to fall any further than number 7. And I think that they're okay with that. And I think Cam's people are okay with where he's kind of slotting in right now. To me, Shador will go anywhere from number 3 to number 7, let's just say. And I think in their world, whether they want to admit it or not, they're cool with that. They're fine with that. They just don't want to fall any further. And maybe there is some risk going out there and throwing
and do a long break at the top
and falling further down out of that
take the
realm. They definitely don't want that to happen. And I think by not throwing or taking any chances or anything like that, they're firmly where they kind of want to be. So I'm good with it. We like you mentioned, it's the way of the world right now. Remember, none of the top quarterbacks threw last year at the scouting combine. They all waited for their private pro days. That's just sort of how it's working for the top of the draft. But what I like about it is it puts the spotlight now on the guys like Jackson Dart, on the guys like Jalen Milroe, on the guys like Taylor Shutt from Louisville and some others. Now it's their time to go out there and show everyone why they should be mentioned alongside Shador Sanders and Cam Ward.
Yeah, I love it. I love the fact that you're going to see Jackson Dart and some of the other quarterbacks there who I think could be an option for the Raiders in some capacity if they do the bridge and they get a quarterback later than the 6th pick overall. Vinny, let's thank all your partners who got you to Indy. We love doing that. Who do you want to thank today?
Yeah, absolutely. Lendingstore.com. I always say that if you got slapped with a bill that you weren't expecting and you're a little bit worried about, how to pay for it, maybe the credit cards are maxed out or maybe the credit's not where it needs to be, just go to lendingstore.com and have their experts help you find a lender that can get you $500 to $5,000 in your bank account as early as tomorrow. So just go to lendingstore.com for all the details.
Thank you, Vinny. Safe travels back. See you next week.
Thank you, JT.
Thank you, Vinnie Bonsignore, live at the Combine. We spent a lot of time on Matthew Stafford there, and if it turns out the Raiders don't get Matthew Stafford, I'm going to be disappointed that I spent 10 minutes with Vinny on Matthew Stafford, but that's the story of the day. Yeah. And we're a live radio show talking about headlines every day, and that's where we're at. Greg's in Sacramento. Thanks for holding, Greg. Go ahead. What do you got for me?
JT, thanks for taking my call. I'm really fired up after listening to Vinny as well and hearing you. I heard from you with the Tom Brady and Matt Stafford visit that was going on. I'm super fired up about the potential of it. I mean, there's steps, and you hear Pete Carroll and John Spytek talk about how they're going to build a team. the staff they put together with Tom Brady being the minority order and fully engaged. I mean, I'm fully entrusted into this team, and yes, I do believe it's not a coincidence, but the steps that it would allow you to not skip but be ahead in your off-season workout, if you get Matt Stafford, is huge. You automatically go to the second best quarterback in the division right away, because I don't want to hear anybody that says that Justin Herbert or Bo Nix is better than Matt Stafford. So you automatically you got that there. Then it gives you so much flexibility the rest of the way in the draft. I mean, me at 6, I'd take Mason Graham there. I don't think Andre Carter there. I think I would, but I would love to see Graham paired up with Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins and Malcolm Kuntz. You got a healthy defense coming back. So I would just be so fired up for the potential of it, JT. I've always been a fan of Matt Stafford. I love how he throws the ball. I love how he's competed even when he was in Detroit with Megatron. I think it would be a great fit for us, and just, listening to Pete Carroll saying we're going to go for it. Listen to John Spicek say we're going to go for it. It's not like they're going to drag their feet. I'm not going to talk about the money, about the contract, because obviously listening to them saying that they're moving as one unit, if Tom Brady is there talking to Matt Stafford, they got the money. I'm not worried about that. Mark Davis, I think the rumors, people talking about money, that could go away instead of trash. So
Yeah.
I'm super fired up about it, JT, and just the potential of how to see Matt Stafford with Brock Bowers. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Look what Brock Bowers was able to do with 17 different quarterbacks. I'm exaggerating, but come on.
Yeah.
Not to the caliber of Matt Stafford. All respect to those guys. So I just could only imagine Jacoby Myers, who doesn't drop a ball, and being able to build that team, getting that offensive lineman. I'm super excited about it, JT. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank
God
you.
bless you. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. Let me wrap up the hour by saying what I said in the beginning. This is a report from Jordan Schultz. It doesn't mean it's 100% accurate, but it's one of the NFL insiders who is, I think, connected, making a connection with Brady and Stafford at a ski resort in Montana. Doesn't mean it's 100% true, but it's all over, and it's the biggest topic in sports today. So we'll see what happens. We'll move on to hour number 2. Levi Edwards and Lance Zierlein, both from the Combine. Big Combine day for us, brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka.
It's the morning tailgate.
1:30, he's calling us. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the top. You got about 6-7 minutes.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry about not being up in the live stream and all this. I know everybody who's working here is frustrated that we're in a building that has a lot of radio stations, and the Wi-Fi's been out for what, 2 days now? 3 days. Bobby's not happy either because we were going to do Vinny on a Comrex on a secure device with a headset from Indy, and he had to call in because our Wi-Fi's down. But for whatever reason, my hotspot is working here, so we're good. All right. Yeah, as I've been saying, I'm not reporting Brady and Stafford were skiing together. Someone else is. So we'll see if there's a lot of truth to it.
It's the same bus the players use, so you can ride like a pro. M-Ride will take you round trip from Circle of the Palms to Allegiant Stadium or T-Mobile Arena. No more hassle parking, sitting in traffic, or waiting in long taxi or rideshare lines. M-Riding, and you'll get in and out quickly. Reserve your ride at mridelb.com.
All right, let's do this here. Just answering one text. All right, we're good. So how's everybody doing today? Everybody having a good day? Big D, it's an okay. JT, we adapt. Thank you. Raider Ryan. Yeah, coincidences, skiing trips, man. It's that off season where we're just looking for shit to talk about. And people report stuff, and then us radio guys report on that.
That's GMTVCC.com. Brought to you by Give Me the Bin.
Welcome to Yoga for Beginners, where we say yes to less stress and to auto.
All right. Got a lot of Pete Carroll sound to get to. Hey, I got a new podcast out on the Academy Awards. JT and Looney, wherever you get your podcast. We did a lot of work on that yesterday with Jackson, Lights Camera Jackson. New podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Appreciate if everybody subscribed like they do here and listen. If you don't want to listen, at least subscribe. We appreciate that. That would help us greatly. Thank you. It's the JT and Looney podcast. Everybody here should at least be subscribed to that. It's more content.
Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
Anybody watch the Luka game versus the Lakers? What'd you think of that? Lakers, Luka. Anthony Davis didn't play, so it kind of, how good of a game could it be without Anthony Davis? God, the NBA is hard to watch, man. When the NBA just doesn't have a star playing, it affects the entire game.
Call for both small and big jobs. And 2 working days in advance. 811. Any parting words? And I'm guessing they will be.
Call 811 before you dig. Brought to you by Southwest Gas. 811.
Great cities are built on strong foundations. The skilled members of
Paul George, I plan to take a break from my podcast. Oh, that, thanks, Paul George. You're making $49 million a year, and he's going to take a break from his podcast. That's a good tweet. $49 million bucks, Paul George.
And building a global city. The future is union strong.
Some of these players, man, most of them are great. The majority of them are great.
World-class events like the Raiders, the Rebels, Pro Soccer, and Superstar concerts. And your home for the pre- and post-game parties is the Tailgater Tavern. Less than a half
Paul George makes $49 million.
4 beers on tap and killer happy hour specials and gaming promotions. Plus, the kitchen is cooking up everything from shareable bar bites to breakfast, flatbread pizzas, and monster-sized burgers. This is your sports viewing headquarters. The Tailgater Tavern at Russell and Valley View, your gateway to the stadium.
Boyd Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino partner of the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the
All right, let's get into the chat here. Isaiah, I used to love it, but it's soft now. Travel, no defense, etc. Yeah, the Dubs are 6-1 with Jimmy Buckets, but, you know, Big D, I don't like the way Jimmy Butler quit on Miami and got rewarded. Golden State. I'm not a Golden State hater, but I ain't rooting for Jimmy Butler after that bullshit. After the way he forced his way out of Pat Riley to get to the Warriors, I would have sent him to Siberia. I would have seriously suspended him the rest of the year, not paid him, not traded him. But Miami's got to compete. So Miami knew they had to do something, but I would have locked down Jimmy Butler, suspended him, conduct detrimental to the team. He wouldn't have ended up with the Warriors. The Pat Riley wouldn't have to pay him. And now Jimmy Butler gets rewarded going to the Bay and playing with Steph for his conduct and bad behavior. I'm not a fan of that, man. Oh, man, what else is up? What else do we got planned for tonight? Who in the chat has the coldest weather? Because we are sitting here and it is 71. It'll be a high of 73. Who in the chat is dealing with the coldest weather? All right. I'll have him call us. He's good. Let me text Liam. So we're going to be 74 today.
Yep. Cooling trend. It was 80 yesterday.
Check out the long list of benefits at SierraCoolsLV.com.
Is the Comrex down in Indy still? Eli shouldn't even attempt to try.
No, just call. Believe it or not, I can actually count on the phone better. I can count on the Comrex today.
Okay.
Get baked, get sauce, get rocked. Come check out River Rock Pizza and Pasta at Arizona Charlie's Decatur. We're serving up some of the best.
Okay, I just texted him.
Classic pasta dishes this side of Vegas. Now with pizzas from just $7. Our Planet Rock inspired restaurant will have
So we got 40 in Denver. Okay. Denver's got so many sunny sky days, man. Man, when the sun's out in Denver, it's a lot warmer than the temperature, I'll tell you that much. How come no one's talking Travis Hunter, man? Does anybody want to see the Raiders, or would you take Travis Hunter? What happens if Travis Hunter drops to Bobby's Patriots at 4? You got Drake May and Travis Hunter. Holy crap.
That could very well happen.
That could very well happen. Travis Hunter to the Patriots at 4? Ooh.
you see him like as a freaking Deion Sanders?
Yeah, it'd be like getting. It would be exactly like getting Deion Sanders as a rookie. I'm not saying he's going to perform like Deion because Deion went to the Hall of Fame, but it'd be very similar to getting Deion. Travis Hunter was better than Deion. Travis Hunter won the Heisman. Deion did not.
Okay, we're back in 30.
Okay, back in 30.
Stadium is the home to world-class events like the Raiders, the Rebels, Pro Soccer, and Superstar concerts. And your home for the pre- and post-game parties is the Tailgater Tavern. Less than a half mile from the stadium, the Tailgater features 24 beers on tap and killer happy hour specials and gaming promotions. Plus, the kitchen is cooking up everything from
All right, let's do this.
flash bread pizzas, and monster-sized burgers. This is your sports viewing headquarters. The Tailgater Tavern at Russell and Valley View, your gateway to the stadium.
This time of year means college basketball. Keep listening for marquee matchups on Raider Nation Radio, 9:20 a.m. KRLD Las Vegas.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Vinnie Cadillac Performance Studio.
Raiders bring a blitz. He takes it off the middle. And he's wrapped up from behind. Max Crosby.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
Open at the 35. Racing to the 20. 10. Touchdown Raiders.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
All right, JT back here. We are up streaming live for now on YouTube. JT the Brick YT. It's a free subscription model. Appreciate you going there as we're building it one brick layer at a time, one viewer at a time. Takes time to build this YouTube stuff, Bobby. It does not. I'm not a gamer. If I was playing video games, I'd have 30,000 followers here, but I'm just doing sports. Yeah, and if you're right about that. I'm not going to say that here. We are a family show as we open up hour number 2. Levi Edwards will join us here in a little bit. We just had Vinnie Bonsignore, and who are we going to have a little bit later on? I believe Lance Zierlein will join us. Yes, my friend Shona got us Lance Zierlein, who's going to join us. Then we're going to have him from NFL Network Radio PR coming up at the bottom of the hour. So we're doing a deep dive on the Combine because our teammates, Q Myers, Vinny, are there. It's the Combine. The interview process was yesterday with Pete Carroll and John Spytek. Thought they had great days. Unbelievable press conferences. That's what they're supposed to do. They're executives. They're coaches. But the 7 new coaches were there and all the new GMs and everybody trying to get questions in. But today, we were leading with Matthew Stafford again because Jordan Schultz, who's now employed by Fox Sports 1, reported that, and this is his report. This is not clarified by the Raiders for obvious reasons or anybody else. But Jordan Schultz put out there that Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford hooked up in Montana at a ski resort for a conversation. I don't know. Again, I keep throwing that out there. This is a report that a lot of other insiders are running with. So Ari Mirov, who's a really good NFL insider, My Sports Update, he's running with it too. And Raiders minority owner Tom Brady recently hosted Matthew Stafford at his Montana home. I don't know what that means, but that's what everybody's talking about. So we're talking about at least Stafford. And what would you have to do to give him new money? Roughly $50 million a year. And no one seems to argue that Stafford isn't a $50 million a year guy. But I'm sitting here now and I'm watching one of these podcasts that have Sean McVay on, and Sean McVay is basically telling everybody, hey, look, we're going to let him shop his deal. And if they shop his deal and it turns out the Rams like the compensation coming back. So that would be that Stafford's agent, Jimmy Sexton, tells the Rams, we got a deal in place with the Giants or the Raiders or whoever for 45 to 50 million guaranteed over 2 years. And the Rams say, great. We're happy for Matthew. We're going to let him go, but we want this. We want a first-round pick. And then they're going to say, no, first-round pick is not part of the deal. What about a second and a third? And then if the Rams say, yeah, that makes sense, we want to get this in return, go ahead. And then he's off the books. The dead cap hit for the Rams is pretty significant. But the Rams don't have to give him all that new money, and Matthew Stafford plays out the end of his career with someone else. That's all. That's all we're talking about today is the potential for that. Now, as Vinnie Bonsignore said, interesting little nugget if you caught it, he kept saying that Shedeur Sanders won't get past number 7. Wait a second. We picked 6. I don't care about number 7. If he goes to the Jets and the Raiders don't take him, wow. Whoa. Like, how would the Raiders get to the 6th pick and be on the clock and Shedeur Sanders is there and the Raiders don't take him? Well, that would be because Tom Brady and Chip Kelly says he doesn't fit what we want to do. He doesn't fit what we want to do, and we're going to move on from him. And then I would assume the Jets would take him at number 7. And then, as Vinnie Bonsignore reported earlier, Zach Wilson is in play for the Raiders. So when Vinnie put that out, he said it's not a rumor. They are pursuing him. So remember, Zach Wilson was taken number 2 overall, kind of crashed and burned with the Jets, but he's still only 25. And maybe that's a guy you can put in the lab and you can work with Greg Olsen and Chip Kelly, and he could try to be a decent player. A decent player. I mean, a starter? I don't know. And Vinny said, word to the wise concerning the Raiders leadership group. Be prepared for some outside-the-box thinking. Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield come to mind. Yeah, that was outside-the-box thinking by the Bucs, John Spytek, and Pete Carroll, who's up there in Seattle. So the quarterback market is getting very interesting here, and we'll see how this plays out coming up here. So I'm excited. I'm excited for any big-time quarterback to come in here and help the Raiders win. If the Raiders get a big-time quarterback, Sam Darnold, Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson, anybody like that, then we're sitting back going, okay, Raiders don't have to draft a quarterback. Or they could draft a quarterback in the 3rd or 4th round. But you don't need a top 6 quarterback if you're going to get Stafford or Sam Darnold. So that makes this complicated, and that's really the basis of this show going forward here, is we got a very complicated issue going forward, and we're in a situation where we got to figure out if this is going to make sense. And if it's going to make sense, great. I think all Raider fans are on board with whatever happens. But if it doesn't make sense and it gets complicated here, Raider Nation's going to start to pop off and say, whoa, wait a second. Zach Wilson, Daniel Jones, Justin Fields. I don't like that. Aiden O'Connell, I like Aiden, but no, what's our plan? And the plan, we don't know. We don't understand the plan because we're not privy to the information. 702-365-9200 is the number as we continue on here. And we want to hear from everybody as we go out to the Combine. And Levi Edwards is kind enough to join us from the Combine today. And Levi, you're a good guest for us to have because we can actually talk real players and players you're in front of instead of this dream of a Matthew Stafford deal here. What's it been like? What's it been like for you in front of the podium as you get ready to watch these workouts?
Everything is really exciting. Just obviously, I love college ball, so anytime I get to be around the best college athletes in the nation, guys that I've watched throughout the season and really evaluated, it's always a really good time. And obviously, the Raiders can go in so many different directions throughout the draft with certain picks. Obviously, you need more depth in the trenches, need a running back. So there's a lot of things that are in play for the Raiders. So being able to look at these guys and interview them has been fantastic.
Overall, the quarterback scenario with Shedeur not throwing and Cam not throwing, Milroe's going to throw, Dart's going to throw. Where's your head wrapped around these individual quarterback workouts when the news yesterday was Shedeur will not be working out at the Combine?
JT, you said you want to keep it real. I'm going to keep it real with you. If you are a quarterback coming out of college and you have 4 to 5 years of tape that you have put together, then I could give a damn if you work out at the Combine or not, because tape is what matters. That's what people care about. If you are going to be throwing at the Combine, it's great. It can only help you. And I believe Milroe should throw. I think Dart should throw. However, the amount of starts that they have are far less than Shedeur, and they're far less than Cam Ward, and they're far less than Quinn Ewers. So those are guys that probably should throw. But when you put 4 to 5 years of tape together that any scout can see, then you should have the ability to come into this event, do your interviews, make sure that you do what you need to do to make sure that you get your stock up, and then stay healthy, get ready for your pro day. And that's just personally how I feel.
Yeah, good. I like that. So let's start off. Is there a position group that you're more prepared to talk about coming into the next couple of days that you're excited? Because the running back, the Raiders have a need at running back. Every year the Raiders take defensive tackles in the draft, and it kind of doesn't work out. Maybe a little bit, but Christian Wilkins is the star player. He's coming off injury. Is there a position group that you're going to focus on closely with the digital team because it's a better fit for the Raiders and you're going to dive deeper into?
Well, the positions group that you actually just named, right off the bat, we're going to be talking a lot about the running backs because obviously this running back room is stacked. And let's be real, the Raiders had the 32nd best rushing offense in the league last year. So obviously that's just not all on the running backs. That's not all on that room. Obviously it's a lot that goes into play. However, a running back would be vital coming out of this draft, especially with the fact that when you look at this class, there's a solid 10 or 15 guys that I look at the running back position that could be drafted and start today, going from rounds 1 through 4. And so with that much depth, you really got to look at this class and you really got to see what you can get. Obviously, going in the trenches, you can never be too strong. You can never have too much depth in the trenches, no matter what. So you have a lot of really good players coming out on the defensive line, guys like edge rushers like Abdul Carter, guys like Michael Williams. Talked to Mason Graham today, interior defensive lineman, who I believe is the best interior defensive lineman in the draft. He said he met with the Raiders. He really liked Pete Carroll's energy. Who doesn't like Pete Carroll's energy? So that position group is going to be vital, as well as offensive line, to kind of build some more depth in the trenches with the guard position. Maybe find some tackles that you can use to complement Colton Miller and DJ Glaze, who had a great rookie season. So there's going to be a couple positions I'm definitely going to be writing a lot about this week.
Yeah, the guard position is interesting to me because Jackson Powers-Johnson in the center here, the center position. So Andre James, who not too long ago got a contract. Dylan Parham was the first draft pick of Dave Ziegler because Devontae was traded for a first and second round pick. So he was the first pick in the third round. And I have no idea what John Spytek or Pete Carroll or Chip Kelly thinks about the current offensive line. So I would assume they're really going to study this offensive line, Levi, because everything brings me to the conclusion that they want to run the ball better. They want to run it more fierce. They got to get a running back, but if the running back's behind the offensive line last year and our running game was dead last in the league, that's not going to work.
Not at all. And really, even though we don't necessarily know what they feel about the offensive line and the running backs, if you just go off of what we've already seen on tape with what Chip Kelly's been able to do with offenses, even dating back to Oregon, you kind of already understand what he wants to do. And that starts with running the rock. He's very big on running the ball, and he wants offensive linemen that are going to get off the line of scrimmage pretty fast and open up holes and do a lot of different concepts. Because when it comes down to it, yes, he likes to pass the ball, and, there's going to be a passing game involved. But if you can't run the ball, then it just makes your offense so one-dimensional. And Chip Kelly's not going to be the kind of guy that wants to have a one-dimensional offense. And we saw that last year at Ohio State, having 2 1,000-yard rushers and 2 1,000-yard receivers. He refuses to have a one-dimensional offense. And so he needs to make sure he runs the ball and he's get off the line of scrimmage really fast. And he's going to bring in guys that can do that.
Levi Edwards, as we wrap it up live from the Combine. So the wide receiver scenario is very interesting to me when everybody says the Raiders need a number 1. Well, the number 1 is T. Higgins, but all accounts are Cincinnati could franchise tag him. And then you look at maybe the 3 or 4 wide receivers that could go in the first round. I just don't know if it's worthy taking a wide receiver at 6 at the top of the draft, which is clearly a need.
Yeah, when you look at this receiver class coming out, it's not as strong, you could say, as previous years when you've had classes with like Garrett Wilson and Jackson Smith coming out, guys of that nature. Even last year with Marvin Harrison Jr., you've had a lot more just kind of NFL-ready guys coming out at receiver. Really the guy that stands out to me in this draft from a receiver perspective is T-Mac. He's a guy who's a freak athlete from Arizona. And additionally, you just hired an offensive line coach, Brendan Carroll, who is Pete Carroll's son, who coached T-Mac at Arizona. So you have that connection there.
Right.
However, definitely a freak athlete, has some things he needs to work on like every other guy coming out of college. But that's really the only guy that I could see who would even be worthy of taking at number 6, who is a receiver in this draft class. But really, when you talk about trying to get a number 1 or just another receiver to complement Jacoby or Brock, definitely free agency will play a factor, and also trying to look and find a gem later in the draft. Also, a guy that I really think people should look at is a guy that Chip Kelly coached at Ohio State last year, who I think is a very good receiver and a mecca from Ohio State. He's a guy I'm not sure necessarily he'll be able to fall in the second round to the Raiders, but if he's there, he's someone that could come in and be a huge value pick for that team.
All right, we all know about St. Elmo's and the shrimp cocktail. You get a great steak, but you don't seem to be a guy that's going to go there every night, even though it's good for connections and networking and all that. Do you have another go-to off the beaten path restaurant that you've just been surprised at in Indy and you're going to continue to go back to?
That's a fantastic question because I ate there last night, JT, and obviously St. Elmo's, like exactly what you said. It's notable. It has street cred. Everybody in Indianapolis, has known about St. Elmo's forever, and it has the shrimp cocktail, all that stuff. I get that, and it's pretty good food. But there's another steakhouse that's right around the corner from the hotel that I'm staying at. It's called Tony's Steakhouse.
Nice.
And I had them last night. You see a lot of other really cool people, a lot of NFL people there at that steakhouse as well. Also good for networking. But the steak that I had there last night, really the meal that I had there last night, from the steak to the bread to the appetizers to everything, the drinks, everything that I had at Tony's last night was superb. And I'm going to go on a whim, and I'm not going to throw St. Elmo's under the bus, but I'm going to say that Tony's rivals any steakhouse that I've been to in Las Vegas.
Wow.
I feel like Las Vegas has some of the best steakhouses in the nation, in the country that I've ever had.
They do, yeah.
So anybody in Indianapolis for any reason, whether it's the NFL Combine, whether you're trying to see a Colts game, whether you're here for a Big 12 championship game, Big 10 championship game, whatever you're in Indianapolis for, Tony's Steakhouse, that's the spot.
Nice plug. Safe travels back home. You got all your digital work up. We'll just find it at Raiders.com, right?
Always on Raiders.com.
Thank you. There he is, Levi Edwards, live from the Combine. So as the Wi-Fi is troubling here, we're on cell phones instead of Comrexes. So Q is coming up next, and I'm sure Q will have a magic moment and figure this out before he comes on here. Appreciate everybody who's found our feed on YouTube. Thank you very much. Just go to JT the Brick YT, and you can watch the show. And I guess, Bobby, we're the de facto backup now. When things go down, you can watch it here for whatever reason. That conversation brought to you by Resorts World. They're one of the host hotels for the rugby that's in town here. And as I get more information, tomorrow I'll be out at the Sam Boyd Stadium soccer fields where they're having rugby practice. And you got 8 teams in town, 4 games at Allegiant Stadium on Saturday, which is going to be a big-time deal. And I've been involved with the rugby group out here for a while. If you want to go and get a ticket for this, they're cheaper than you think. And you can go have an amazing time with all the rugby fans that are going to be out at Allegiant Stadium. They do a great job internationally. A lot of people come in from overseas to see this, so we're excited about that. Lance Zerline is going to join us coming up here. We got opportunities to take your phone calls. I didn't even get to my Pete Carroll sound. If you want to call in today on Matthew Stafford and the Rumors, 702-365-9200. Also last night, as I was on the air on Sirius XM, I watched the entire Laker game, Luka Doncic versus the Mavericks. Man, you want to talk about a drama sport. Anthony Davis didn't play for Dallas. So instantly the game meant nothing. The game meant nothing. Like any other NBA game you turn on. First thing I say when I turn on an NBA game, is Durant playing? Is Steph playing? Is Embiid playing? Is Paul George playing? Half the time, no. There's some guy out of the game. So then I tune in the game. Even my Knicks, Mikal Bridges, big part of it, he's not playing. Whenever I turn on an NBA game, the first thing I do in the first 2 to 3 minutes is find out who's not playing. And there's usually one star who's not playing in the game. And last night it wasn't Anthony Davis, so we saw Luka Doncic have a pretty bad shooting night, but he ended up with a triple-double. LeBron James was just incredible again. Please don't compare Michael Jordan at 40 to LeBron. Stop. You sound stupid. Not you personally, but the media who does that. LeBron is so much better than Michael Jordan at 40. It's not even close. LeBron's going down the middle of the lane and just running people over and dunking over their heads. I watched Michael Jordan at 40 with the Wizards. He played every game. He averaged 20 points. He wasn't a bad player, but he wasn't LeBron James. I don't know what LeBron's eating, wink, wink, or putting in his body. He looks like a truck. He's massive. I'll even go out as far and say this. He's in so much better shape than Luka at 25.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even close.
Oh, yeah.
If you said after practice, okay, LeBron, you and Luka go run sprints and suicides. Let's see who wins. Luka would be bending over, breathing heavy, and LeBron would just be lapping him. That's a problem for me. That's a problem for me with Luka long term. Luka's going to need to be on some time. He's a great player. His jump shot's gorgeous. His passing, spectacular. But for everybody who thinks that Luka's 25 going on 32. And that's one of the things I wanted to mention today about Matthew Stafford. He's 37 going on. 38? No, I think he's going, I don't know. He might be our quarterback, so I want to be careful. He might be the quarterback, but he took a beating in Detroit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
God.
Anybody remember how big of a beating Matthew Stafford took for 12 years in Detroit?
Oh, yes, I do.
Every time you turned on a Detroit game, Stafford was a Pro Bowler, good player, but he was getting tackled. He's getting sacked. That took something out of him. Let's see what he's able to do now. All right, when we come back, we'll jump into some more conversation live from the Combine, brought to you by The Black Hole. Spent a lot of time with The Black Hole over this past weekend. Actually went to Mark Jones's unbelievable residence and had some Modelo at his residence. The Black Hole is home of football's most notorious fans, 40 chapters worldwide and growing. You can be a lifetime member for $60 at theblackhole.com. Tell them JT sent you. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, and I think we're good today. Appreciate everybody. Golden Steer is unbelievable. That's the best steakhouse in Vegas is Golden Steer. I like Chef Barry's at Circa. And I like One Steak with John O'Donnell. A lot of good steakhouses I like. No live stream tonight, but we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, I don't know how this is going to work out. I'm going to be out of rugby practice. I should be able to have decent Wi-Fi. That might be cool to see the backdrop of Vegas behind me and all that. I'll let you know how that goes tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. Please share the podcast. Please tell your other YouTubers about it. Thank you. Yes, thank you. As I'm trying, yes.